All right, so today we're going to do a deep dive into something that I find really fascinating, and that's secret dining events.
Ooh,
So
fun.
we're talking, underground restaurants and these kind of hidden supper clubs and really anything that's a really exclusive, kind of off the beaten path culinary experience. We've got this guide here that talks about how to launch a profitable secret dining business.
Okay.
And I think that whether you are just like a foodie looking for a cool adventure or an entrepreneur with a really killer concept, um, you're going to find this deep dive really interesting. I mean, even just reading about it,
Yeah, no, I agree. I
I
agree.
was like, oh my God, this is really interesting.
It
So
is.
I'm really curious to kind of get into this. Like, what is it about this trend that you find the most intriguing?
Well, I think it really shows how our thinking about dining is changing. Like, it's not just about the food anymore.
Right.
It's more about crafting an entire experience.
Yeah.
Something like unique and memorable. Yeah.
And that's exactly what this guy talks about. It calls it the desire for exclusive and immersive dining experiences,
I like that. Yeah.
which I think really, really nails it. But, like, what's really fueling this demand? Why are people choosing these types of events over just, say, going to a traditional restaurant?
I think, well, have you ever been scrolling through like endless restaurant reviews and just thought,
Uh,
I've seen all this before?
totally.
People want something different, something they can like connect with more personally. I don't know, just something that sparks a genuine excitement.
Okay, so it's about, like, tapping into this desire for something beyond the ordinary.
Right.
But does that actually, like, translate to a viable business model? Can you really make money doing this?
Absolutely. Because these events are so exclusive, you can often work with like really renowned chefs
Oh,
or
wow.
like have very specific specialized menus.
Gotcha.
And people are way more willing to pay a premium for that kind of unique experience.
Yep, that makes sense. It's kind of like the difference between buying something that's mass-produced
Totally.
versus investing in, like, something handcrafted.
Yeah,
You're paying for the quality and the exclusivity, the story behind it.
exactly. Exactly. And I think from a business perspective, the lower overhead costs are really appealing. Like
Yeah,
you don't need a permanent location,
right.
and that drastically reduces your operating expenses and I mean it really opens up a world of possibilities.
So instead of being tied to one space, you could host, like, a rooftop dinner one month and then, like, a garden party the next. And then maybe even, like, I don't know, take over an art gallery after that. The
Exactly.
flexibility is amazing.
Yeah, exactly. And that element of surprise and discovery is a huge part of the allure for, for diners. It's not just about the food, it's about being a part of something unique and exciting. But okay, let's say someone wants to launch their own secret dining experience. Where would they even begin?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, there seems like there's a lot to consider.
Right.
I mean, a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot. So this guide really emphasizes how important it is to have a clear concept
Okay.
and a clearly defined target audience.
Right.
Those are really the foundational pieces.
So it's not enough to just be like, hey, I'm a great cook, let's have a dinner.
Yeah, no.
You need, like, a really strong vision, a
Exactly.
unique selling point
Yes,
that will resonate with the right people.
exactly. But the possibilities are endless. Like you could have a gastronomic theme, like I don't know, an molecular gastronomy experience, or maybe you lean into a cultural theme, like I don't know, a Parisian bistro night or a Japanese izakaya setting.
Oh, I love the cultural theme.
Yeah, that's fun. It's like you get transported to another place through the food and the
Summer,
atmosphere.
totally.
And I think what it all comes down to is creating a strong identity, something that like sets you apart from all the other dining options.
Yeah, because there are a ton,
There are a ton, yeah.
so many. And then after you figure out your concept, you need to decide, who you're actually trying to reach.
Yes, exactly.
Because, I mean, a Parisian bistro night's probably going to appeal to a different crowd than, say, like a modern tasting menus featuring, like, experimental techniques.
Exactly, exactly. And location is crucial too,
Right.
because it needs to align with your concept and your target audience.
Yeah.
It all comes down to creating that sense of surprise and delight.
So a rooftop dinner might work well for, like, a chic urban crowd,
Yeah,
but a hidden garden setting might be perfect for a more intimate, bohemian gathering. But I imagine logistics come into play too,
of course.
right? You can't just be about finding the coolest, most unexpected space.
Of course not. You have to consider the seating capacity and the kitchen facilities, and then any permits that you might need.
It gotta be legal.
All of those practical considerations have to be factored in. It's about finding that sweet spot, that perfect blend of creativity and feasibility.
Right. Because a really stunning location doesn't matter that much if you can't actually, like, execute the dining experience itself.
Exactly.
And we've got the concept, the target audience, the location.
Yeah.
But what about the food itself? It's got to be spectacular, right?
Absolutely. This guide stresses how important the culinary team is.
Yeah.
Whether it's a collaboration with some big name chefs, up and coming rising stars, or just experts in, a specific cuisine.
Right.
It's about elevating the entire dining experience through real culinary expertise.
So it's not just about good food. It's
No.
about having, like, an unforgettable culinary journey.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what are some examples? Like, how are some of these secret dining experiences approaching their menus?
Well, some are doing tasting menus with really, really intricate courses that are paired with wines.
Okay.
Or maybe they focus on experimental or like avant-garde cuisine that uses molecular gastronomy, creating dishes that are as visually appealing as they are delicious.
So it's about pushing those boundaries and challenging expectations.
Yes.
I like that.
But how do these events manage ticketing and reservations and still maintain that like air of mystery?
Right.
Because you can't exactly just list these things on OpenTable, right?
Totally. Yeah.
So this guide suggests using platforms like Eventbrite or TikTok or even a dedicated website,
Right.
but it's all about controlling the information.
Right.
So maybe it's invite only
No.
or members only,
Gotcha.
or they could rely heavily on, word of mouth
Right.
and a carefully curated wait list.
Ooh, that's fancy.
Right.
It's like a secret society.
Yeah,
Food lovers.
exactly.
I love it. But speaking of getting in, how much are people willing to spend on these exclusive experiences? I'm guessing it's a little more than your average, dinner and a movie budget.
Yeah, you're right. So the guide gives a few different price ranges, and it really depends on the experience.
Okay.
A standard secret dinner might be like $80 to $150 per person.
Okay.
But if you upgrade to like a premium chef's table experience, you're looking at more like $150 to $300.
Wow.
And then if you really want to go all out
Yeah.
and have a luxury fine dining experience, get ready to pay anywhere from $300 to $600 per person.
Wow. Those are some serious numbers.
They are.
So what factors influence those prices? Like, is it just the ingredients and the chef's reputation? Or is there more to it?
It's a combination of things, really. The quality of the ingredients matters, but also the chef's reputation.
Yeah.
The location's exclusivity, like the overall experience that's being offered, all those things factor into the price.
So there's a strategy to it.
Yes.
It's not just about slapping on, a random price tag.
Definitely not. You have to understand your target market, your costs, and the perceived value of what you're creating.
Okay, so with all this secrecy,
Yeah.
how do you actually market these events? I mean, you can't really put up a billboard, right?
No, you can't exactly do that.
Right, it's like you need to get the word out without actually saying anything.
Right.
Like, how do you strike that balance?
That's what makes it so interesting. So marketing for secret dining events is all about building intrigue
Okay.
and exclusivity.
Gotcha.
It's nothing like your average restaurant ad campaign.
Okay.
You're selling an experience, a feeling, like the sense of belonging to something special.
Okay, I'm all ears. What are some specific strategies that actually work?
Well, a really strong online presence is essential.
Okay,
Your website needs to be visually appealing and easy to navigate,
gotcha.
but most importantly, it needs to tell a story.
So not just like, a list of dates and times,
Right.
but like something that captures the essence,
Yes.
the vibe, the emotions that you're trying to evoke.
Exactly. So think mouth-watering photos and like really enticing description, or maybe even like a blog or video series that gives people a peek behind the scenes.
Ooh, I like that.
Like a day in the life of a secret dining chef kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah, and it just creates this personal connection
Yeah.
and makes it feel even more special. And then, of course, there's social media,
Right.
Instagram and TikTok, Pinterest. Those are like your playgrounds
Gotcha.
for creating buzz and that FOMO,
Yeah.
that fear of missing out.
But how do you actually tease the event without like giving away too much? It's a tricky balance.
It is a delicate dance. So basically, you share glimpses of the food, the setting, the atmosphere,
Okay.
but always leave a little something to the imagination.
So maybe like a shadowy figure stirring a cocktail.
Yes.
Or a close-up of a beautifully plated dish, or a
Exactly.
hint of the location without revealing the exact address.
Precisely. You just want to pique their curiosity,
Yeah.
make them crave more. And scarcity is key.
Okay.
Limited seating, tickets released in batches. That sense of urgency is what gets people going.
Yeah, that fear of missing out is a real thing,
It is.
especially when you're talking about something this exclusive and unique. But doesn't all this hype kind of risk spoiling the surprise?
That's the beauty of it. You don't reveal everything. It's like a movie trailer.
Right.
You just see glimpses, but you have to wait for the main event to see the full picture.
I love that. That's a really great analogy. And this is where influencer marketing comes in.
Exactly. Partnering with influencers who, align with your brand and your target audience can be really, really effective.
Okay.
But you have to be strategic.
Right, because you want to tap into their audience
Yeah.
without overexposing the event
Right.
and losing that exclusive vibe.
Precisely. It's not just about reaching new audiences, though. It's also about, nurturing the community you already have.
Right, right. And that's where the VIP memberships and referral programs come in.
Exactly.
Right. It's all about rewarding your loyal fans with early access,
Yes.
exclusive discounts, maybe even special events just for them.
It creates the sense of belonging
Yeah,
and encourages word-of-mouth marketing, which is arguably the best kind.
right, because people trust like recommendations from their friends and family more than any like ad or anything like that
Totally.
that they see online.
Exactly. So build that community, treat your guests like VIPs, and just watch your business flourish.
Okay, so we've covered the marketing, the community building, creating an exclusive vibe, but let's talk about the bottom line.
Okay.
How can secret dining entrepreneurs really maximize their revenue and make sure their businesses are, sustainable?
Well, we touched on a few of the main revenue streams already.
Right.
Premium ticket pricing, those add-ons like wine pairings,
Uh-huh.
and custom gifts, and of course, strategic partnerships with brands that, match your event's theme.
Right, but there's more to it than that, right?
Yeah, there is.
Okay, tell me everything.
You also have the potential for private and corporate events.
Oh, right.
So, companies are always looking for unique team-building activities.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And, people are always looking for unforgettable ways to celebrate special occasions.
That's a great point.
So it's like you're tapping into a whole new market.
Totally, yeah. So it's about having like this multifaceted business model that goes beyond just like selling tickets to the general public.
Exactly, exactly. And then, there are the operational challenges to consider.
Right.
We talked about permits, but what about liability
Oh, yeah.
and legal considerations?
That's a good point. I hadn't thought about that. Does that change based on location or the type of event you're hosting?
It absolutely can.
Okay.
There are tons of legal hurdles that secret dining organizers need to be aware of.
Yeah.
And it can get really complicated depending on, the specifics of their business.
So navigating all those like legal requirements is crucial.
Yes.
Especially when you're dealing with like food safety
Yes.
and serving alcohol. You don't want the health inspector showing up and shutting down your event in the middle of dinner.
Exactly. And then there's the challenge of finding reliable suppliers,
Oh, of course.
especially if you're, committed to local and seasonal ingredients.
Yeah.
You have to build those strong relationships with suppliers.
Yeah.
Make sure they can meet your quality standards and be ready to adapt if something unexpected happens.
Like what if your star ingredient suddenly becomes unavailable
Right.
because of, I don't know, like a bad crop
Exactly.
or a supply chain issue? You need to have a backup plan.
Exactly. Flexibility and resourcefulness are essential.
Right.
And then there's just the operational side,
Yeah.
like managing reservations and coordinating with your team and making sure everything runs smoothly the night of the event. It's a lot to juggle, especially when you have limited seating and, unusual locations.
That's where the event planning tools come in,
Yes.
right?
Totally.
Like having systems to manage bookings and payments and communication. That can make or break you,
Absolutely. It really reduces stress and improves efficiency.
for sure. And what about the competition?
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about differentiating yourself, but how do you actually stay ahead of the curve in such like a fast-paced market?
You always have to adapt.
Okay.
And innovate.
So what does that look like? What are you doing?
Maybe you introduce, a guest chef series.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
That's fun.
To bring in some new perspectives.
Okay.
Or experiment with incorporating technology in creative ways.
Okay.
I don't know, maybe augmented reality menus or interactive dining experiences.
Oh, those are really cool ideas.
Yeah, it's about constantly pushing boundaries.
Yeah.
And offering something totally unique that no one else has.
Okay, so it's about finding your niche,
Yes,
Your culinary voice.
right.
Your, like, special something that makes you stand out.
Precisely. Remember, you're not just selling food,
No,
you're
no.
selling an
It's about
experience.
the whole package.
Exactly. It's about creating a sense of wonder and discovery
Yeah.
and connection.
At the end of the day, isn't that what we're all looking for?
Yeah,
These experiences that, like, nourish us,
I agree.
inspire us, and connect us to something bigger.
Beautifully said.
Yeah.
That's what makes secret dining so exciting. It's a celebration of food and community and the art of creating something really, really special.
All right, so listeners, we're going to take a quick pause here
Okay.
to let all this amazing information sink in.
Yeah, it's a lot.
When we come back, we're going to take a virtual tour of some really incredible secret dining concepts from around the world,
Fun.
just to give you a taste of what's out there.
I love it.
So stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone. So now that we kind of have a better understanding of, like, the business side of secret dining,
Yeah.
I want to, like, indulge our imaginations a bit.
Okay.
And actually hear about some of these really unique secret dining experiences that are out there.
Right.
Like, what kind of concepts are people coming up with?
Okay. Well, imagine this. You get this mysterious invitation,
Okay.
and it only has one word on it, Paris.
Ooh, intriguing.
And then a few days later, you find yourself in this hidden courtyard,
Okay.
tucked away from all the noise and the crowds,
I like it.
surrounded by like twinkling lights and the smell of fresh bread.
Okay, you're speaking my language.
I-
I'm picturing, like, cobblestone streets and charming little tables.
Yes.
Maybe even an accordion player in the corner.
Exactly. You've been transported to a classic Parisian bistro
I love it.
with a menu full of all those French dishes we love,
Okay, give us some examples.
like escargots, steak frites, maybe a decadent chocolate mousse for dessert.
Oh, that sounds incredible.
Right.
But it's not really about, like, recreating Paris exactly, is it?
No.
It's more about
Oh.
capturing a feeling, an
Yeah,
ambiance.
exactly. It's about creating an experience that transports you,
Yep,
even if it's just for a couple of hours.
totally, totally. So what other kinds of themed experiences are out there?
Well, how about a Japanese izakaya?
Okay.
So picture yourself gathered around a communal table, sharing plates of yakitori,
Okay.
sipping on sake,
Um,
and maybe even trying some karaoke.
Oh, I love that. The communal aspect is so important,
Yes.
especially for a cuisine like Japanese,
Right.
where sharing and socializing are such big parts of the experience.
Exactly. Or we could go in a completely different direction.
Okay, yeah, let's mix it up.
Something more historical. Like, imagine you're in a candlelit hall,
Okay.
feasting on roasted meats
I like where this is going.
and hearty stews and crusty bread, and there's minstrels playing music in the background.
Wow, a medieval feast.
Right.
It's like stepping back in time.
Exactly.
I can practically hear the goblets clinging and the fireplace
Yeah.
roaring.
Yeah.
But you mentioned some interactive experiences earlier.
Oh, yes.
Those sound really intriguing.
Those are becoming so popular,
Okay.
like the murder mystery dinners.
Yeah, those are classics.
But there are so many other ways to get people engaged beyond just the food.
I remember reading about one where everyone was blindfolded,
Oh,
and
yeah.
they had to guess the ingredients just by taste and smell.
Exactly. That's a perfect example of how secret dining can be a multisensory experience.
Yeah,
It really engages you on a whole other level.
so it's not just about what you're eating.
Right.
It's about the story, the atmosphere, the interaction. It's about creating, like, a memory.
Precisely. Speaking of creating a memorable setting, let's talk about locations.
Yeah.
People are using some really amazing spaces for these events.
Yeah, we talked about rooftops and hidden gardens,
We did.
but the possibilities are truly endless.
They really are.
Okay, hit me with your best shot.
All right.
I'm ready for some location inspiration.
Okay, so how about dining in a repurposed shipping container
Ooh.
that's been transformed into like this chic industrial-style dining space?
Wow, I love that.
Right.
The contrast of, like, that rough exterior with the, like, polished interior.
Exactly. Or what about an abandoned warehouse
Ooh,
with exposed brick and high ceilings?
okay.
Maybe some art installations scattered around?
It's all about transforming those unexpected spaces
Exactly.
into something really magical.
Yes, I can see it.
Yeah, like flickering candlelight,
Uh-huh.
music echoing through this huge space. That would be such a cool vibe.
Yeah, and then on the other hand, you could go in a completely different direction.
Okay.
Something more intimate and cozy.
Okay.
Like picture having dinner in a private greenhouse.
Okay, I like that.
Surrounded by plants and the scent of flowers.
Yeah, like a little secret garden escape in the
Exactly.
middle of the city.
Or if you're looking for a little mystery and history,
Yeah.
how about a secret dining experience in an old library?
Oh my God.
Surrounded by bookshelves and the whispers of like Forgotten stories?
Okay, that's officially at the top of my bucket list.
Right.
I'm picturing a long candlelit table, a
Yes.
roaring fireplace,
Uh-huh.
and maybe even a hidden passageway to a secret room.
It's all about those feelings of discovery and wonder.
Yes, totally.
But remember, it's not just about finding the most Instagrammable location.
Right.
It has to be functional, too.
Right, because as cool as an abandoned theater might be,
Yeah.
if you can't actually seat your guests comfortably
Right.
or, serve the food properly, the experience won't work.
It all falls apart.
Exactly.
You have to strike that balance
Yeah.
between creativity and practicality. But okay, enough about the setting. Let's talk about the food.
Yes, let's get to the good stuff.
How are these events pushing culinary boundaries?
I'm so curious about this. I know we talked about molecular gastronomy,
Yeah.
but what other trends are you seeing on these secret dining menus?
Well, one trend that's really taking off is this focus on hyperlocal seasonal ingredients.
Oh, I love that.
Secret dining chefs are sourcing the best produce, meat, and seafood from local farms.
Yeah, it's all about celebrating what's in season and
Exactly.
supporting local businesses.
And it's not just about where it comes from.
Right.
It's also about using those ingredients in creative and unexpected ways.
So maybe like a twist on a classic dish using a forgotten heirloom vegetable.
Yes.
Or a dessert that, highlights the flavors of wild herbs.
Precisely.
Yeah, I like that.
It's about creativity and pushing boundaries.
Okay, and what about the drinks?
Oh, of course.
Are those just as carefully planned as the food?
Absolutely. We're seeing a lot of custom cocktails
Okay,
and mocktails designed to complement the food,
gotcha.
often using locally sourced ingredients, too.
So maybe a cocktail with gin from a local distillery.
Yes.
Or a mocktail that, uses the season's freshest fruits.
Exactly. And don't forget about the presentation.
Right.
How the drink looks is just as important as how it tastes.
It's all about that multi-sensory experience.
Right.
A beautiful garnish, a cool glass, maybe even a little tableside showmanship.
You can really elevate the whole thing.
Totally, totally. You're creating this, symphony
Yes.
of flavors and textures and visuals.
And beyond just the ingredients and techniques, there's this growing emphasis on personalization
Oh, that's interesting.
and customization.
How does that work in a secret dining setting?
Well, some chefs are doing tasting menus with different options for each course,
Okay.
so guests can kind of customize based on their preferences.
That's a cool way to accommodate everyone's needs and likes
Exactly.
while still keeping that element of surprise.
Right.
What's really cool to me is that these events aren't just about food.
No.
They're also about connection.
Totally. I completely agree.
There's something about the shared experience,
Yeah.
the intimate setting, the feeling of discovery
Yes.
that brings people together.
It's like you're all in on this secret
Yeah.
part of something special that's outside the everyday world.
I love that.
And that sense of community is so powerful. It's what keeps people coming back.
Okay, so I'm feeling very inspired.
Good.
But before I go off and plan my own, secret dining empire,
All right.
I think we need to get back to the business side of things.
Okay, back to reality.
Yeah, because as exciting if all of this is,
Right.
I imagine there's some challenges involved in running a business like this.
Of course.
So what are some things that aspiring secret dining entrepreneurs need to watch out for?
Of course.
Okay, so we've talked about all the fun stuff.
Yeah.
But now I kind of want to, pull back the curtain a little bit
Yeah.
and talk about the not so glamorous side of secret dining. So what are some of the challenges that entrepreneurs in this space might run into?
Well, we talked a little bit about legal stuff and permits, but I think it's worth going into more detail
Okay, yeah, let's do it.
because depending on where you are and how you structure your business, you might have to deal with all sorts of regulations.
Okay.
Food safety, alcohol licenses, zoning law.
Right, zoning laws, yeah.
If you're in a residential area, there might even be noise ordinances to worry about.
So it's not as simple as just, finding a cool spot and inviting people over.
Definitely not.
There's a lot more to it than that.
A lot more. And it can get even trickier if you're hosting events in unconventional spaces.
Right.
Say an abandoned warehouse or a private garden.
Yeah, those were some of my favorite examples, actually.
No, they are cool.
Yeah, but I guess you might need, extra permits
Right.
or insurance
Exactly.
to be able to operate there legally.
You have to do your research.
Yeah.
Make sure you're operating legally and safely. It's not just about avoiding fines.
Right, it's about the safety of your guests, too.
Exactly. You don't want anything bad happening.
No, especially in a market like this where reputation is everything.
Yeah, a word of mouth can make or break you.
Totally. So let's say you figure out all the legal stuff.
Okay.
What other challenges are there?
Well, finding good suppliers can be tough,
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
especially if you're committed to, using local and seasonal ingredients.
Yeah,
It's about building relationships with those suppliers,
yeah,
making sure they can deliver consistent quality,
right.
and being prepared if something goes wrong.
What if your main ingredient suddenly becomes unavailable?
Right.
because of
Exactly.
weather or supply chain issues.
You need to be able to pivot.
Have a plan B.
Exactly. Flexibility is so important in this business.
Okay, and then there's all the like day-to-day stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Managing reservations, working with your team, making sure everything runs smoothly during the event.
That sounds like a lot.
It is a lot to handle, especially with the limited seating and the unusual locations.
But that's where the event planning tools come in, right?
Exactly.
They can be super helpful.
Having systems to manage things like bookings and payments and communication, that's key.
It can make a huge difference.
Huge. Reduces stress, makes things more efficient.
Okay, and then what about competition? I mean, there are a lot of people doing this now, right?
There are, and it's a growing market.
So how do you make sure you stand out?
Well, you have to be willing to adapt
Okay.
and try new things.
So give me some examples.
Maybe you do a guest chef series
Oh, yeah.
to shake things up a bit.
I like that.
Or you could play around with technology,
Okay.
like augmented reality menus
Wow.
or interactive experiences during the meal.
Ooh, those are cool ideas.
It's about pushing the boundaries and offering something unique that people can't get anywhere else.
And always remembering it's not just a meal.
Right.
It's a whole experience.
It's about the story,
Yeah.
the atmosphere,
Yeah.
creating something truly special.
And at the end of the day, isn't that what we all want? Experiences that make us feel something.
Absolutely.
Yeah, things that nourish us,
Yes.
inspire us.
And connect us.
Totally. And that's what makes secret dining so exciting.
It's a celebration of food and community and creativity.
Exactly. Well, there you have it, everyone. We've taken a deep dive into the world of secret dining events.
We have
We've explored the allure.
the logistics and the
Yes.
creativity that makes this trend so unique.
Hopefully, you're feeling inspired to check out some of these hidden gems in your own city.
Or even start your own adventure.
So tell us, what kind of secret dining experience would you create?
What theme would you choose? What kind of food would you serve?
We'd love to hear your ideas.
So until next time,
Happy feasting.
happy feasting.
26.